I'm here with Katherine, and it is the 24th of August. As you say, we are in Bristol, and it's day 10 of the trip.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Hello and welcome to the Extraordinary Ordinary Women podcast, sharing life's adventures. My name is Frankie, and this is a podcast where I interview extraordinary, ordinary women and non-binary folk as part of a 3,000-kilometre cycle around England, Wales and Scotland. Interviewing people older than myself to show that you don't just have to do it whilst you're young. You'll hear all about their adventures and what they get up to, as well as their answers to my big life questions. Like, what does authenticity mean? Did you have a clear sense of direction through life? And what advice would you give to your younger self? This is episode 6, where I chat to the incredible and hilarious Katherine in her house in Bristol. This episode was recorded on the same day as episode 5. I left Victoria in Wales and cycled the beautiful way along the Strawberry Line to Bristol. If you're looking for a really beautiful place to get to from Bristol on your bike, I can't recommend it enough. It's flat, gorgeous, and you get to cycle through orchards along the way. I'll pop a link to my commute route in the show notes. After saving my toast craving, setting her awesome daughters up to play upstairs, myself and Katherine grabbed a coffee and had this very fun chat. I hope you enjoy it too. And I always forget to ask this, but would you be happy to say your age?
I am 45.
Thank you very much. So, for somebody that doesn't know you at all, could you give us a bit of a snapshot of who you are and what you do?
My name is Katherine, as we've said, and I'm basically a paediatric nurse. I gave up work about 18 months ago to look after the kids, and ended up heading towards my dream job of going in and doing my BA in fine art. But yeah, along the way I've done various other bits and bobs, a few ultra challenges and a couple of marathons and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of where I come from these days.
Amazing. So I'll start with this the nursing and the professional side as you started talking about that, and then we'll come back and talk about the ultras first. As a nurse, what does your work-life balance look like? And then maybe as a parent as well.
Yeah, so it's a bit crazy really, because I did give up the nursing about 18 months ago, and then I'd already planned to go back before COVID to try and pay my way through my degree a little bit. So yeah, COVID's thrown a massive curveball, and a lot of things have kind of ground to a halt, and parenthood has been quite interesting in this time. So anything that I did have planned adventure-wise has kind of gone under completely in the last 6 months. But you know, I think it's just another challenge at the moment. So we've got to keep the plans going and remember that actually that triathlon is going to happen next year, or that walk is going to happen that next year, or so yeah, it's been interesting. But because also I work in 2 different hospitals as well, and I'm a bank nurse now, so my shifts, I'm very lucky that I've been able to plan my shifts and get the work, but actually yeah, it might not have been the case, so that's been quite good. But my husband's been at home working, so he's been dealing with the children. But yeah.
And how old are your children?
They are soon to be 8 and just turned 6.
A very energetic age.
Very energetic, very bouncy, full of energy, and very demanding. And lovely.
And you talked a little bit about how COVID has impacted your time and your ability to get into the outdoors. Is that always been the case, or pre-COVID was it?
Yeah, I think pre-COVID, I think I just picked different things. So I did have to pick more pre-organised events so that I could just sort of turn up. So an ultra challenge that was already organised, so that you could just say, oh, well, I don't have to carry any food, I haven't got to do this, I haven't got to do that, and I don't even have to pack a tent, I've just got to pay the money. It pays my money and turns up, and and oh, if I've not had time to train, not to worry, I'll do it en route, and that kind of thing. So it was all a bit ad hoc before, but it was my way of just getting away and walking through the Cotswolds and having a chance to camp and meet other people. So my latest plan is obviously to walk the coast to coast, and that was something I've wanted to do for about 20 years, but it always got pushed to the back because of the career, because of the job, because of, you know, you're just exhausted, or you haven't really got the money to put towards it. So yeah, I think now I'm just better at planning, I think, and organising myself. So that's my time, I will go and do this race, do that adventure then. I think that's what parenthood makes you do. You become very busy. They say, don't you, they say if you want something done quickly or you want something done, ask a busy person, because they will find time to do it. And I think that's kind of what happens in the end with adventure and parenting and childhood and that kind of thing.
That's my mum's favourite quote, and I always think about it whenever I'm really busy and then someone else asks me if I can do something, and I'm always just like, yes, I can do it, and I'll do it right now.
Yeah, it is the best way, isn't it? Because and I think your expectations go down. Like I say, you know, I am worried now that actually I've lost a lot of fitness since lockdown because I haven't been able to do the commuting. I have to drive now to commute, so I can't do the running or whatever. That used to be my training time. So you're like, oh man, I'm losing a lot of fitness. But at the same time, you then think, right, I'm gonna this will change, so I'll be able to work that in some other way. And yes, if I have to turn up to my degree on the first day with my backpack on and go and have a shower somewhere that I've never been before, and then turn up with dripping wet hair and go, hello, it's me on the first day. That's how it is. You've just got to balls it out, really, haven't you?
Set a strong precedent.
Yeah. Just got to own the place on day one, and then you'll get through, I think, and find your training time.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your ultras? They sound really interesting.
So I did the Cotswold Way with Action Challenge. So I've done that. See, this is another thing where it ends up being timing, because I've had to do the same one 3 years in a row, which is a bit boring after a while, but it's because it's timed well in the middle of just before the summer holidays, so you're not encroaching onto them, and it's just starts in Bath. So that's sort of 2 days I do that. I tend to do that over, and it's 100k. So those are quite good. I tend to walk them. I have tried to do 100k in one go, but it always manages to be the hottest day of the year that they do them. So I did, the one time I did try, I had to drop out in the middle of the night. And I think actually that's another thing that you learn as you get older, that actually it doesn't matter if you fail, you can come back another time. And even though you get cross with yourself and you're like, oh, I can do this, why can't I do this? It's like, we haven't failed, it's only one challenge, and you can do it again. And there's so many challenges that you have got over in life before that it's not worth getting too upset about. But it's the pushing yourself. I think people who do these things like to push themselves, and that's why it gets irritating when you do fail. But yeah, there's the classic, isn't it? You learn from your failures. Well, I'd like to think I do, but actually I've managed to do the same thing twice and get horribly dehydrated. 2 years on, and the first year I managed to bounce back from it. The second year when I was doing the whole all the way through, that was a no-no. But yeah.
But then they say the mistakes will keep, like, you keep
making the same mistake, yeah.
Until you learn
just
from
learn from it. Keep that. But the 1 year I was like, right, I'm not going to get dehydrated this year, and I just drank, and then I just needed a wee every time, like all the time, and there's nowhere to go, nowhere. When there's lots of people on these events, there's just nowhere to hide. The bush is always, not in the right place. So it's a fine line, isn't it, between needing to catheterise yourself and then and perhaps being dehydrated. But one day, hopefully, I'll get that right. eventually.
What was it like doing it the same one again and again?
I did think it would be boring, but actually in a weird way, it marked the year, if you see what I mean. And it almost brought back the memories. I mean, I have done other stuff. I did do the Bristol, the one and only time they did the Bristol to Bath marathon, I did that. So I have kind of I do other bits and bobs, because I did that the year I turned 40, and Cara was just a year old, because I was like, do you know what, I'm fit, I'm 40, I want to show people that you can keep fit when you've just had a baby at any age. And I went through, like, not too far past the bottom of near where I live, so you're like, okay, it would be rude not to. So I do other things. But getting back to your question, I quite enjoyed it, because in a way, actually, you realise how much you've stored that route in your head. And knowing where you're going to go, it doesn't feel quite so far. And so you're like, right, I made it to this point last time, I can make it again, I know where this is, and I know where, okay, and so you can stomp on to the next bit without going, oh my God, this is so dreadful. I'm so tired. So yeah, from a challenging yourself to do something quicker point of view, which is often what my challenges end up being, because there isn't the challenge to navigate your way across. Yeah, it's quite useful, knowing the route. I'd like a different challenge, because I am slowing down a bit, because I have given up work. So like I said, I don't get the commute training. I am slowing down. You do get injured a little bit more. I'm 45 now. You know, I don't want to slow down, but I don't think I've got too many other projects going on for me to sort of keep focusing on trying to get quicker or stay at the same speed. So you're like, okay, well, I want to do the same distances, I'm just going to have to do it slower. And the challenge is, let's learn to navigate, let's carry the weight, let's do it slowly, but, you know, do 10 miles a day instead of 60 miles in a day. You know, it's a different challenge. It's as challenging, but it's just different, isn't it?
Yeah, very different challenge. And what does the outdoors mean to you?
Oh, it's somewhere to go and clear your head, isn't it? Somewhere to go and have some bit of peace and quiet, and just a bit of freedom. I suppose it's a cliche, but it is a change of scene, isn't it? It's just not having cars around you, it's not having noise around you, it's not having, or at least not having sort of angry, loud noises around you. It's having pleasant sounds like running water or birds or even cattle, you know. It's just to be free and to get out and smell some fresh air. That's what it means to me.
Have you always done things in the outdoors? Has it always been part of your life?
I always went camping every year. I used to go camping with the church, so it was the boys' brigade and girls' brigade mixed together, and it sounds really square, but it's actually not as square as it sounds. It sounds really badly square, but it wasn't. And we used to go every year. I went for absolutely years. I just loved it. I loved having other people around, in that sense, having just had like the peace and the freedom and getting away. This was being outdoors in a different way with other people who were camping. There was camaraderie, there was games and messing about and making friendships that last forever, you know. So from that point of view, yeah, I've always sort of done things outdoors, and I've always daydreamed. This is a bit ridiculous, but as a child I used to run around our garden pretending that I was doing the London Marathon, because the London Marathon probably started when I was about 7 or 8, I don't know. And I used to imagine I was running next to the car going to work, going to on holidays, because I was like, I just want to be able to run. I want to be able to run the distances. So I think it's something I've always kind of wanted to do. I've always run or done half marathons here and there, or little 10k or this, that and the other. I always tried to have something on the back burner. I've always done something outdoors. I've done, and I trekked across, well, I didn't trek, we travelled across America after I did Camp America a long time ago, so that was kind of very outdoorsy. And I went with one of the girls I met there, and we went right across from from LA to New York in the back of a van with 6-7 random strangers and a tour guide. So, you know, the things you do with a rucksack is, it's quite good fun putting up these weird tents.
Amazing. I bet there are some absolutely beautiful places.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the whitewater rafting was the best. With all of us in this huge, I don't know what you call it, dinghy. I think it looked like a big dinghy with this chap at the back with his great big oar just rowing down these massive rapids, and he's like saying to us, "Row, you've all got to row." I just like, when you look back at the photos, because they were taking these professional photos from up on the rocks, there wasn't a single person rowing. The only person that was rowing was me and this Christine, who were trying to row at the front, and of course we were the ones who ended up just going whee, and ended up just in the drink. Yeah, that was interesting. I think Christine thought I drowned underneath her. She came out crying, absolutely like, "Oh my God, you died when I thought you were dead." And I was just on the bottom of the boat laughing like some hysterical flapping wet fish. Couldn't even get out of the boat. I couldn't help them to get me out of the boat because I couldn't stop laughing. So that's the kind of, I've always craved kind of doing outdoorsy things a bit like that. And we climbed, what else did we do while we were there? We climbed Half Dome, me and this other guy whose name I have no idea who he is. I haven't seen him since, but we
But you were best friends at the time.
We were best friends the 10 hours it took us to get to the top of Half Dome and back. Which, it was good fun. We got up there, I'd say I was probably about 24 when I did that, and we got to the top, and you need to use thankfully they've got like fence wires so you can pull yourself up at the top, otherwise your leg's just dead. Because again, never do any training before. Actually, I think I'd not done the marathon, actually, the London Marathon when we went there, so I had got something in my legs. So I've done a few crazy things over the years.
Sounds incredible.
And what else have we done? Yeah, forget these. I forget, you see.
I mean, it sounds like you've done a lot of stuff, to be fair.
You get old, your brain just goes, what have I actually done? Oh, yeah. So we did do 3 Peaks Challenge. We tried to do it in 24 hours. Some friends of mine actually did manage it. The friends I was with, they actually managed it, but I started to feel quite ill. So when we got to Snowdonia, I did not feel very well. And I think it was a good call. I didn't go up that mountain. And oh my gosh, I was ill. I was so ill after that week. I had to go back to my parents. That, in one of those rescued by mum and dad jobs, and you just, I was poorly sick with a massive throat infection. So
no.
That wasn't good, full on. I haven't got any tonsils, but that kind of tonsillitis-y type thing. So, So that's something I've always regretted, that I never managed a 3 Peaks Challenge. I did the 2, but time to do it. But I did the mini 3 Peaks Challenge last year around here in Bristol, up Maze Knoll and around there. So that was quite good fun. But that's another one that you see, I just don't get time to train. It's like, it's only 17 miles. Yeah, let's go run that. When was the last time you ran anything more than 10? I don't know. Don't know. Never mind. We'll go. It was one of those events that absolutely rained. And you're going, this would be really nice if you did it in the summer. I'll do this in June. I'd love it. It is June. It's not October. It just feels like October. So that was good. So I do bits and bobs. I do bits and bobs. It just this year hasn't happened.
I don't think it's happened for anyone.
No.
So I don't think you're the only one there. When you're training, what sort of training do you usually do?
I used to have... Yeah. Well, I either used to walk to work, which was an hour's walk, or run, like half an hour or whatever. I did used to have a PT, actually. I was very lucky. After I had Anna, Cara, even second maybe, I decided, because I am hopeless at doing any weights or anything like that, because I just get really bored. I think a lot of people do. If you're kind of an active-y sort of like, I want to be outside, standing there lifting weights is just dull as. So I did end up with my lovely PT, Teresa, and I had her for years. I just decided that, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do a lot else, so I can pay for PT. And she actually became a good friend, and we did do some of the ultra challenges together in the end. And she was really useful training me up for the Bristol to Bath marathon. And just getting fit, again, as I say, getting fit after you've had a baby, you do need somebody who can help you out with that, because it's a totally different thing. There are things you can't do, and I think you don't necessarily realise unless you've got someone expert telling you what to exercise, the how to exercise. And speaking of which, and obviously technique in exercise and getting it right and good form is always something a lot of people forget. And I've been going to rowing, indoor rowing, with talk classes. Yeah, you use muscles that you did never.
And then you find out very quickly and very painfully that you do.
Yes, like, there's arms, my shoulders, and I wanted to get on the water. I did look at doing the course, but yeah, I couldn't do it. It was too many weekends in a row over Easter, and it just wasn't going to be fair on my husband, and so yeah, it was a shame. But the teacher for that, Prue, she's lovely, really professional, really, helps everybody along no matter what your ability, and whether you've been rowing before. So it was really good fun. There's only ever about 6 of us in there at any one time, and I was always racing. Me and lots of older men who'd obviously been in the rowing club for absolutely years. And they look like something out of a 118 advert, and you're sat there next to them, and you just find yourself racing. You're looking at each other, it's like you can't help it. So I'm just so competitive, and you could tell they're trying to race me as well.
And who wins?
Well, I think we drew quite often, and I did like, they were sweating though. I gave them a run for their money. But yeah, you've got to give them a little bit of a race. Keep them on the toes.
And just when you're walking and running and doing your ultras, how much are you walking? How much are you running? Because it sounds like you do a bit of both.
Each. If I did an ultra, when I do an ultra, I tend to walk or set out as a walker. But I walk quite fast. I'm not a dawdler. And I'd say that probably is because I have only got the weekend to do it, and I need to get back to the girls. So there is an element of, I want to beat my time. Sometimes I break into a run, just because. And sometimes, so I do find it I find it quite hard just to walk somewhere. But when I've done road marathons, I try to run the whole way. And it was the 18-mile mark, actually, the Bristol to Bath one, that stopped me, because it just sort of, this hill is absolutely horrific. You can't see me doing the slant up to the ceiling with my hand, but yeah, it's horrific, and it goes on for about a mile and a half, and everyone just goes, they're all just stopped, and all these zombies are just walking up this hill. But yeah, so I try to run if I'm going to do a half marathon, I want to run it all. I don't care how slow I run it, but I'm going to run it all, a bit all or nothing. I lose 2 toenails and stuff like that,
Oh.
So when you have done a decent amount of training and you can trust your legs, so I say I do a lot of things without doing any training, but when I have done a lot of training and you feel nice and fit at the start of a race, especially when you can just think to yourself, I've got nothing to do now except enjoy the ride. You just got to enjoy the ride. You just got to plod along, look at the scenery as you go. You've got nothing else to do. You can listen to some music if you want to, but you have got nothing else to worry about for, I don't know however long it takes you to run your marathon. Just do it. There is nothing to worry about, and that's what I really enjoy about. There's nothing else to do.
But then when you've not done the training, is it not quite like that?
I think it's just a bit different. You just have to take it into a different level and just go, well, it's going to take you longer. It might just hurt a bit more. But it is just, it's just a ride. You're there for the ride. Your life is there for the ride. So just enjoy the atmosphere of whatever event you might have paid to get into. Like triathlons, I did one triathlon, and absolutely loved it. It was a tiny, short little triathlon. It was like, it wasn't even a sprint distance triathlon. It was just mini little newbies. But I absolutely loved it. I was like, I'm breathing the water, so cold. But you just do it. Then you realise, but it's done. That bit's done. And it really gives you a sense of perspective of stop worrying about things. It'll be done in 2 seconds. Stop worrying about this. Stop worrying about that. In life, in general. And I think that is one of the things when I did the London Marathon way back when, and you have trained with the running club, and then you achieve that goal, and I think it sets you up for life in a way. You're achieving these little goals. It gives you that, I can do that. So anything else I'm going to try and achieve in life, in your job or in whatever, feels a little bit easier. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then every time you come to the next hurdle, you then think, well, I did that hurdle, and I know that hurdle back there didn't last forever, so let's try and jump this one and hope that this one doesn't last forever too.
Yeah, exactly. And it all comes out in the wash, normally. It all comes out in the wash.
Sorry, I'm just
That's
checking
right.
I've not missed anything. I always go off on so many tangents, and then I'm like, oh, well, I've actually asked all these questions. Right. So
I was just thinking there was something else I was going to say and I've lost it. Yeah, because I haven't talked about the Adventure Queens because I don't know how much you want it to be about.
Yeah, you can talk about whatever you like and in any way that you like.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah, do you want to tell me about your plans now?
Yeah, I can do, yeah. So the Adventure Queens thing came about for me because, so last year, you know Anna McNuff was doing her barefoot run thing. Yeah. And that was literally something I caught sight of on Facebook and just went, oh, that looks like a laugh, and signed up. Promptly forgot all about it until the day, and I had noticed, and I went out and did a 10k, and then came home, looked at my diary and went, I was supposed to be meeting this random pink-haired woman. I've completely forgotten. And I've just done a run, and actually, that's not going to work, is it, with childcare? So I went down to see her off, and decided that actually that looked like quite good fun. I'd quite like to have a go at that. So I ended up running one of the sections, one of the marathon sections with her a couple of weeks later, and was talking to Sue Barrett, one of the Adventure Queen mother, and she was chatting, saying, oh, well, we do this grant, and I think, maybe have a go entering. And I thought, well, I don't know. I don't think I can because of the kids. I don't know. But then actually it became my motto at the beginning of, or sort of more towards the end of last year, actually, you just got to have a go. You just got to put your hat in the ring and have a go at stuff. In much the same way, it's like, you've always wanted to agree. Do you know what? Stop talking about it. Just have a go. Just apply. And ended up, it came off like I got this one of the places, and I couldn't believe it, really. It was just like, oh, okay, that's good. Oh, I'm going to have to put my money where my mouth is now. I'll have to do this. So, yeah, I've got all the maps. I've sat down. I've planned out the first half. But, yeah, it was really nice sitting there finally, having started planning it way back when with a friend when I first started my nursing career, aged 24. To finally sit down with the maps and go, I'm going to do this, and I don't need anybody else with me to do this. I can do it on my own. Well, what was I worried about? Why was I worried? And I think that's the thing, isn't it? This is the difference between youth and a bit of age. It's like, actually, you've got more confidence. You care. As I've said already, you care less about failing. It's just listen. Just do it. Just do it. You're a long time dead, so just do it.
Amazing. And for people that don't really know what the Coast to Coast is, can you tell us what
your
route looks like?
It's Wainwright's Coast to Coast. Can I get the
please do.
Guidebook?
Go
Otherwise,
for it.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, no, please do.
Let me go and grab them. My box of dreams. St Bees to Robin Hood's Bay, my guide, which I'd kind of hoped I wasn't going to follow too much, but I think I kind of have in the end just gone, oh yes, we'll go there, but you kind of do, don't you, in the end?
But also, someone's put a lot of time into planning that route, and so there's probably not a better route than the one that they've planned.
Absolutely. So you're like, oh yes, okay, you've done it. It's like 10 times. So I have used this quite nicely. All 13 stages. I can't remember how far it is now.
How far do you think you'll walk each day? Have you got a plan?
I think it's about 13 to 15 miles. Some days are longer, so more like 19 to 20.
Yeah.
And it really depends on whether I decide I'm going to wild camp or stay in a nice B&B occasionally, rest the old bones. But it depends. So I've got 14 and a half miles I've got here, various different lengths, days. I've got to change it all, which is quite annoying because I had it all set out.
Have you planned something like this before?
No, never. And it's really nice to be able to plan my own, do it for myself and go where I want to go and take the detours that I want to take, and not have to worry about meeting somebody else's bus or somebody else's timetable or anything like that. So yeah, I can be as anal or as I can plan it to within an inch of my life and then not follow any of it, which is the great thing, really.
Amazing. And so you're thinking of carrying your own stuff and your
I don't know that I'm going to have a lot of choice. That's the other thing, you see. When your support team are at home looking after the children, and there isn't really anybody else because my parents are obviously elderly. Tim's parents are elderly, so they are not going to be like my dad. Used to come out with me when I was marathon training years ago, and he would just drive to each point and stop because you didn't have sat nav on your wrist back in the day. You just had we didn't even used to eat stuff. Maybe you talked about nutrition when you did when you trained for a marathon back when you just had water or squash, or if you're lucky you didn't have like some fancy fizzy drink that you'd put together, or a little tablet of loveliness that you'd put in your water as you went round. There was none of that. So my dad just used to meet me, and I'd be like, hello, and he'd go off, go and sit with the paper somewhere else. So there is no backup team because they're not available. So you've got to do it yourself and carry all your own stuff. So I'm going to have to learn to pack light, which is an interesting concept. Yeah, maybe 2 pairs of knickers as opposed to 20.
And what are you going to do about food?
I don't know. See, I have tried out. I had started to try and look at various different bits of food. I did try. Do you know what I tried actually once when I was training a lot? And I did try baby food. This was when Cara was tiny. Oh my God! Don't use baby food. Don't use baby food because it goes straight through you.
Are you sure that's not just running in general?
No, I'm sure this was just baby food because I've never had that issue before, ever. It just went straight through me and I couldn't get past 13 miles without, I can't, I've got to go home. And I remember running past, and when it's dark and people got the lights on in the house and you can see in, and I'm running down this street and I'm looking in these houses going, who looks nice, whose toilet can I use? Just please be nice, people. There's this random sweaty lady just dinging on the bell, please let me in, because there's nowhere to hide. So yeah, don't use baby food. It's not recommended.
Expect that we'd be going there.
I go all over the place.
Perfect. So at least we know you're not taking baby food.
No, I'm not doing that. But I don't know is the answer to that. I've just got to see how much weight I've got left. I did check out. The reason I got onto baby food is because I had checked out some brands that are packed a bit like baby food. So I was thinking that might be a bad idea, but it's more It's more set up for the adult digestion. Might be a bit more friendly.
Maybe test them
before I go. Yeah, because I don't want to be having issues. But yeah, I will do some camp out food and cook my own bits and bobs. But I should imagine I should be terribly posh and eat in the towns as I go past.
I don't blame you. I've been having pub lunches every day.
I don't blame you either. Yeah, that will probably be what happens. I'll have a good pub lunch.
Especially
lamb
with
shank. Yeah.
Eat out to health out. I've been having my pub lunch for like £3. I've been having a huge vegan burger, and then I've been shoving chips into sandwich bags, and then that's either my snack later on, or this morning it was breakfast. I had a portion of chips and 2 cold roast potatoes.
That sounds nutritious. Yeah. So you're probably hungrier than you need a bit more than toast. We'll sort you out later. But yeah, so I will probably do that, eat in various places along the way, and I might just throw the odd tin of beans in the back of the rucksack and see how we get on. Sweets. Live on Haribo, I suppose.
I'm obsessed with banana chips.
Yeah.
And they fit into my cycling jersey, so I just like shove loads of them down there and then help myself on the way.
Nice. Yeah, that's the kind of thing. The bitty bit, you just realise you've eaten loads of weirdness, just weird stuff. Like some of these ultras that I've done where you turn up and it's like a sweet shop when you get there. And you just think, God, actually, I feel sick now. I've eaten so much complete rubbish. Like, just stop eating. Just because it's there, stop eating it. So that would be quite a challenge, actually, just not to have the random Freddo that's knocking about.
The emergency one.
Yeah.
So with my questions, I've kind of got some that are sort of about your journey and your life up to here. And then I've got a section where I sort of talk about emotions a little bit.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of like a final section which is about perceptions of women and then advice for your younger self, kind of. Mm-hmm. So if you're happy, I'm going to like jump into the journey section. So how do you think your journey has shaped who you are now?
I think actually the core of you is always there and will always be there from childhood. And perhaps, I know it sounds corny, but I think childhood really does shape you. But then, you know, you set yourself challenges, and if you are the sort of person who's going to set yourself a challenge, you're going to keep doing that. And I think, you know, I've had my moments with mental health issues and depression and such like and what have you. And I think all of those situations make you turn around and, you know, you've got to fight a bit more, fight a bit harder for what you want and where you want to be. I'd never envisaged as a teenager that I would end up as a NICU nurse. I would have thought that was somebody else's job. That would be something someone else would do because it seems too complicated. But again, you run the marathon, you set that challenge for yourself, and then eventually, okay, I will do that then. I am going to push and do something that I really want to do. So I think my journey probably has, I think you're all shaped by your journey. You can't help but be shaped by your journey, but I think it just smooths the edges off, you know, as you go along. A bit blown around, a bit battered, a bit more determined.
And do you feel like you've always had a clear path through life? Have you sort of known where you're going?
Yes and no. I think probably when I was in school, because I started off, I did an H&D in product design. Actually, I ended up not doing it because at the time it was a lot more male orientated. So there was only about 4 or 5 girls in the class of 45. And computers were just coming in and our tutors didn't really know what to do with them. They couldn't teach us how to use those. It was just like, yeah, this is what the course is set, go away and play. And, you know, okay. So interestingly, I didn't go into that because I didn't have the confidence, because I didn't feel like it was a woman's job and I wasn't good enough. And the other thing I'd always wanted to be was a nurse. And so I ended up coming out of my H&D, going and doing a little job. In the meantime, I worked in an adventure playground. I was deputy manager there for about a year, and I worked other bits and bobs. And eventually what I found was the jobs that I wanted to do, I knew you needed to be a nurse. So like health visiting or school nursing or stuff like that, you had to do the basic nurse training. And I'd always thought about it was either going to be an artist or a nurse. So I think, as I say, that the core of you is always there. And if you look back at essays that you have written a long time ago, even though you might cringe at the way you've said things, even if you might go, oh God, it can't say that, you can't do that, you can't, like, why would you say that? The main part of you is still in there. You still have the same beliefs. Yeah, so I went and did I went and did the nursing, and that was something that I wasn't really sure about. Where do I really want to be a nurse? Do I really want a nurse? But for me, obviously, because I went to church, so my whole sort of thing was, well, okay, it was a bit more like, oh, do you know what, God, okay, if you want me to be a nurse, I'll go and be a nurse. But you better get me through this. And I will get through this, but you better get me through this. So I felt that there was always someone who got my back to get me through my nurse training and then to go on and push to be something I'd never thought I was going to be. So I ended up doing 10 years of clinical research. I didn't think I was academically, I wasn't that academic at school. I would never have thought I'd be working on vaccine studies and the delivery side, not the writing the protocols. I leave that to the intelligent, like really intelligent doctory people, scientists. But, I didn't think that was going to be where I'd end up. So I feel like I've done all of that, and it's like, do you know what? I think I've earned my art degree. I kind of, people say to me, well, are you throwing 30 grand down the pan? And well, no, because if you said to me, do you want to win the lottery? What would you do if you won the lottery? I'd go and do an art degree. That's the first thing I'd say I'd go and do. And in that case, well, why don't you do the art degree? Because you're going to be skint anyway. So why not just carry on being skint and do what you want to do? Do you see what I mean? Like I can get a bit of a loan to help me out. And I feel like I've come full circle, and I've kind of earned my way into that, to do something I want to do now, and to use those experiences to influence what I do in my art career.
So exciting.
So hopefully it'll be good fun, and hopefully it'll come out as a useful thing to do, whether it be art therapy I end up doing, or I don't know. And all the other physical experiences, all the hiking up and down mountains, or ending up in the tents in the St John Ambulance tent, half dying of dehydration, they're all experiences that make you go, survive that. Like you say, it's all right, survive that, it's fine, we can carry on, we can do that again. I've got all 10 toenails again now, yay, it's fine.
It'll be so exciting for you to go into that art degree having already had all that learning. Yeah. It really gives you a different perspective, because you just sort of remember going into university when you were like 18, 19, and it's all like, and everything's scary because you're learning how to live in a house on your own, like with other people. So that takes away from your concentration of the learning, like the actual doing of the course. So it's kind of, that's not almost not the important bit. But once it gets to like, do you know what? That's now just my job. That's my everyday, and I'm so used to doing these things now that I can probably juggle the degree around the children and this and that, and it's just called life and getting on with it, and it'll be interesting to watch the younger generations and to learn, because you don't realise quite how old you've got until you sit next to people who are like 20, and you think, I don't know what you're talking about, and you start to sound like your parents saying, who are you talking about, what you do? I don't know, what do you mean? I don't even know what you mean. Sorry, it's gone over my head. So it'd be nice to sort of find out what they're about, and just to see what life's going on there for them. What a cool thing to show your children as well.
Yeah.
Like, I bet they're going to love watching you and seeing that journey.
They'll be like taking a mick. They take the mick so much.
What's one thing that you know about yourself now that you wish you'd known earlier?
You're stronger than you think. You're not stupid. So there's 2 things.
Go for it. You can go for 3 if you like. I'll let you this one time.
Yeah, and I think you worry about what you look like too much when you're in your 20s. You can't help it. We all do it. Stop it. Stop worrying about what you look like. It doesn't matter. You look better than you think you do. Is probably what I'd say to most youngsters. Anybody under the age of 35. Shut up. You look better than what you think you do.
Just wait 5 years and then you'll look worse.
Wait 5 years and you'll just be a haggard mess. No, it's just like... It is though. It's just that every time, you go another 5 years, you look back and you go, actually, I wasn't that ugly. What was I worried about? I wasn't that fat. What was I worried about? Everybody says it. But why? Why did we get so obsessed? And I'd say to I've already told my kids, don't mess with your eyebrows. Just leave them alone. That's my beauty tip to my children. Just leave your eyebrows. They're fine. Stop it.
I want to talk to you about authenticity, about your authentic self. So something for me is every year I get older, I feel like I'm able to become a little bit truer to who I am, and I look back and I'm like, her back then didn't know anything.
Yeah.
What does your authentic self mean to you?
I don't know. It's hard actually, because part of what you do when you're a nurse actually is to not really ever reveal your authentic self. That makes sense, because you spend a lot of your time not being able to show you're angry to particular patients, not being able to show your emotions in certain situations because you've got to remain calm, or not being able to. So actually your authentic self, how can I, probably an introverted extrovert actually is who I really am. If I think about it, so I'm quite happy to go out and be quite loud. I'll do karaoke. Actually I'm supposed to be doing life drawing, modelling for the first time soon in a couple of weeks, and I was meant to be doing that before lockdown. That was something else that came up there. Put your hat in the ring. You've always thought, have a go, do that. So from that point of view, things like that just don't bother me. I'm probably quite a confident person. A lot of other people would look at, but actually I'm quite happy being on my own. I like my own company.
What do you think bravery is?
I think it's facing your fear, really. Having a go at something, even though it possibly frightens you a bit, or I suppose there's different types of bravery in different types of situations. There's the bravery that you might come from. I'll jump in the road to save that child from being run over, or what have you. You might call that brave, or is that instinct? I don't know. It depends. But I think it's facing your fear and just overcoming what is difficult for you. Not what's difficult for somebody else, but what's difficult for you. And that doesn't mean you have to, if being brave for you is walking 3 miles or 2 miles or a mile, then that's on your own, or catching a bus on your own, then that's brave. It doesn't have to be anything big,
Would you describe yourself as brave?
I think when I look at some of the things I have done, I think they've been quite brave, because I've been absolutely petrified of doing them. I think nurses are brave anyway, actually, to be honest. I think nurses are brave people, and I don't just mean at the moment with what's going on. I think I know so many people, so many women, and over the years, and men too, to be honest, but not so many male nurses, but who, you know, have gone into work on a daily basis worrying about what they're going to come in to see, but they brave it out every day. They do it every day, and it's because they're strong and brave people. So yeah, I would say I'm quite brave. But there are things I won't do for £1 million. But
What would you not do?
Skydiving. And I'm not good. Potholing. I was not brave when I went potholing. Totally the opposite. A big group of us went potholing once, and again, being quite a big person, trying to get through little tiny holes, I was very claustrophobic, and the person in front of me was quite a lot bigger than I am and got stuck at one point, so that was just horrific for me. So I could not wait until we managed to get out of there. So that's not
I mean, it sounds quite brave to still do it and get in there.
I'm never doing it again. Ever not doing it again. So yeah, no, chicken as far as that's concerned.
What do you think happiness feels like?
I think it feels like it's contentment. It's realisation that you have achieved, for me, or it's just a bit of a buzz, isn't it? It's a buzz. Makes you feel high. Makes you feel happy, of course. It makes you feel happy. There's excitement, isn't it, generally, being happy. And probably, I suppose I've got to say the happiest days of my life are having my children, cliched as it might be, but yeah. Just having an awe of like what's around you and what's going on, it's like, and realising and just sort of being able to step back and look at everything from, rather than looking at the minutiae of the day, just being able to see everything, how it works. I mean, I understand that, but it doesn't matter, you know, because I'm okay today.
That's awesome. What an awesome answer. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to just the last little section is kind of about women and then about advice, and then that's it, we're very nearly done.
Okay.
So what perceptions of women do you think there are, and how do you think they match up to your reality?
Well, like I was saying earlier, I think actually, I mean, we were only talking, golly, what year was it when I was doing my H&D? 95? Yeah, I left in 96. And even then I was saying, it's a very male-orientated subject to product design. And I think then we were probably on the tail end of when sort of sexism in the workplace was probably quite rife, and I'd say I sort of say, I haven't noticed it, but then you think, actually, yes, we do, because I was only the other week marching for equal pay for the NHS, for nurses. And I know that may be a controversial thing, but I do think there is an element of sexism within how we are paid, because it is majority nurses are women, and if the majority of them were men, I don't think they wouldn't get away with that. Absolutely no way. You know, not snowballs. And likewise, because a lot of the workers sort of are immigrants. So again, I think there is discrimination there, and they're paid appallingly for what they do. So I do think there are still elements of sexism. Although, do you know what? I feel more powerful than a lot of men could ever feel. So do you know what? It's never worried me, because I always just look at them and think, wow, I could be more powerful than a lot of men. You know, regardless, they can have their money, they can have their fast cars, they can have their toys. I know who I am, and you know.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself represented in outdoors media? So sort of like outdoors films or clothing or adverts, those sorts of things?
Can't be honest, I don't see a lot of. I don't watch a lot of adverts, so I wouldn't know. But I guess probably not, because I wouldn't have noticed. Actually, I'd say a lot of the time, actually, again, it's a height issue, and these days, or it's not so bad. But it was always trying to find the clothes to fit to go out and do these sort of things, and not end up in men's clothes. And that has changed. You can get better fitting clothing. So, from my point of view, I suppose that's a good thing. But it would be... I don't think, obviously, and of course, with Facebook and all these groups, like Love Your Wild and Adventure Queens and stuff like that, that would never have existed when I was sort of in my 20s. If you were going to do something, you had to go and try and do it on your own, which I think was why it's probably taken me so long to get round to doing that, because finding those sort of support groups, well, you just didn't unless you're in the Scouts or something.
So we are really nearly done. Do you have any female role models?
Victoria Wood.
And why?
Because she's funny and intelligent, but she doesn't have to be rude to do it. Do you know what I mean? Very observant of people, I think. Although, actually, if you looked at some of her work now, it'd probably be very dated. But I think, if I could be a modern day version of Victoria Wood and have the confidence to stand up and just make people laugh, she would be definitely one of my role models. Jo Pavey was my inspiration for getting off my breastfeeding backside and go and exercise, because she won her gold at 40 in the Commonwealth Games. So she's quite an inspirational person, I think. But yeah, I could go on. There's quite a few.
Quite often people have said, no, I can't give you one, because I can give you a whole blog post of 20 different people.
And what advice would you give to your younger self?
You'll be okay. Crack on. You're doing well. You're doing better than you think. You're worth more than you think. And have confidence. Have confidence in yourself. I think that's what I'd say. Just stop worrying about what other people think. Have confidence.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you so much, and thank you for all your answers.
You're welcome.
I left Katherine's with sore abs from laughing so hard and a really warm heart. And I was reunited with Frit, my girlfriend, for a rest day in Bristol before heading into Wales. If you've liked this episode, please remember to drop a like and share it with a friend who you think will find it funny too. Next week, I'll be talking to Nikki, who has an amazing story about overcoming illness, learning to manage pain, and struggling with withdrawal from pain medication. We have such an open conversation and really talk about all the things you want to know, but might not know how to ask. As well as talking about the fun of your first surfing lesson, taking me time to cycle, and the joy of just getting out in nature and exploring. It is a great episode, and I can't wait to see you there. If you want to be notified when it comes out, make sure to subscribe. Until next time, keep on being extraordinary.